thing is, he's trying to erase us. He's trying to make us forget about our history. And we cannot do that.
The thought that we would never be in the situation that we're in is ignorant. We are in this situation. Everything you read about in your history textbooks can come back, does come back, and comes back with a different face.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up. This is Ashley Bishop with Status Coup. John Farina and I are live on the ground in Washington, D.C. at an anti-Trump protest. Today there are nationwide protests for No King's Day. This protest is not a part of No King's Day. This is a separate event, again, held at the same time as the No King's Day protest.
They are openly saying it. That is a coup. That is a coup. And it is consistent with Donald Trump inciting and then pardoning the insurrectionists of January 6th. This fascist Trump regime feels that anybody else is illegitimate. No one else deserves to be in power by merit of not being part of their fascist crew. Think about what Donald Trump said about why he said Governor Gavin Newsom should be arrested. Trump did not claim that Newsom broke a law. He literally said Newsom should be arrested simply for running for governor.
So this protest was organized despite the larger No King's Day protests, stating specifically, like organizers of those protests stating specifically that they are not holding anything in D.C. So why did you guys want to hold a protest here despite that?
Well, we think it's incredibly powerful and righteous and important that people are standing up nationwide, saying no kings in 1,000 cities. This shows the power of the people and the profound opposition to Trump and his fascist regime. At the same time, to those leaders who said don't come to D.C., we respectfully disagreed. We think this is where the eyes of the world are. This is where Donald Trump is putting his fascist military on parade to intimidate the world. And it's not just symbolic. It is not a mere ego trip. Donald Trump is remaking the military to be a force that is loyal not to the Constitution, not to the rule of law, but to Trump personally. With all the white supremacy, all the hatred of women and LGBT people, all the genocidal, xenophobic America First chauvinism that involves. And this is where we need to be standing up. And it became all the more important when Donald Trump threatened very big force 3 times against peaceful protests. If we concede in advance to Trump's fascist intimidations and threats, we will lose our rights. We have to stand up. And so we salute everybody in the streets, but we felt it was very important to be here. And I'm so thrilled to see there were a lot of people who agreed that this is the place to be.
100%. And I would just kind of yes and something that you're saying. You know, the optics of Trump holding his giant, up to $143 million military parade and birthday party for himself at the taxpayers' expense. The optics of, holding protests in every other city besides D.C., the epicenter of that is not great for the protest movement at large. And it says a lot about the kind of I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but it does say something about the kind of liberal resistance movement that has organized a lot of these bigger protests.
I can't quite hear what you oppose, the optics of the countrywide. I just missed the thrust of what your question was. It's so loud.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So it is very loud out here right now, and I'm a low talker, so that doesn't help.
Okay.
But I would just say that, the optics of not holding a protest in D.C. says a lot about the kind of liberal resistance movement that has been organizing a lot of these protests. And I don't mean that to be, disparaging, to, say, perfect is the enemy of the good, right? I just said that it says a lot.
Yeah, what I would say is, again, what's the principal thing is that every voice standing up to Trump is righteous, necessary, important everywhere in the country. I will say to the leaders who said stay away from D.C., some of them did raise that we need a nationwide outpouring to prepare for the 2026 elections. And on that note, while we need protest everywhere, and it's righteous, scheming and banking on the 2026 elections is delusional, it's deadly. Trump, it's too late. There's fascist atrocities and rights being taken away now. The streets are being militarized now. And Donald Trump is not going to respect an election he loses. He's proved that over and over and over again. So we respectfully disagree. Not with the protests and outpourings, but with the insistence that people stay away from D.C. in the name of safety, in the name of getting positioned for the elections or any other such thing. We need to be here. We need to be everywhere. We need to be saying Trump must go now.
Support this critically important on-the-ground reporting as a Status Coup member and get great perks. Become a member right here.
Well, the truth is, no advance for the masses of people has been won through voting. It's been won in the streets. Even the right to vote wasn't won by voting. So we just have to recognize that that's always been the case, and it's even more the case now when Trump is making clear that he's not going to respect the courts, he's not going to respect elections he loses, he's not going to respect anything except for being overwhelmed through the nonviolent but sustained, massive and growing power of the people, demanding his removal, forcing the kind of political crisis that we've seen around the world when people stay in the streets and depose fascist dictators through mass nonviolent action. That's what RefuseFascism.org is calling for, and we welcome everybody. If you believe in this system and its elections, its founding principles, you want to fight for that, and you hate the way Trump is violating that, or if you're like me and think that Trump is an outgrowth of the slavery, genocide, white supremacy that is built into this system, and you're fighting for a revolution, which I am, we need to stand together in the streets right now, demanding Trump must go now, and not stopping till we get that, because the future I want, the future they want, it's not going to be possible. Even if it's different, neither of it is possible if fascism consolidates. So we need each other. Even as we're going to have differences, we need to learn to work together and overcome the kind of divide and conquer, sectarianism, snark, gossip culture, all of that, and build real principled unity, debate, discussion, where we can thrash out differences and still stand together.
And I think it's important to, one more probably long question and answer for you. It's important to note that the protests that are happening today, even though this is not a No King's Day protest, are happening now, amidst the country kind of erupting in protest over Trump's heavily militarized ICE raids. So I think that's important, and I wonder, do you feel like that kind of changes the expectations for today?
I think it makes the outpourings all the more important. And look, we're in very abnormal times. Fascism is happening. A U.S. senator was thrown to the ground, cuffed, dragged out, and as he said, if this can happen to a U.S. senator and before the cameras of the world, what's happening to farm workers right now? What's happening to cooks and dishwashers? And then he also said correctly, and this is not typical for Democratic Party leaders, he said everybody should be in the streets on Saturday protesting. He said non-violently, but be out there. And I think this is a moment, again, I don't share his viewpoint on running and being part of this system. The Democratic Party, in my view, is a party of war crimes and crimes against humanity. That said, come on in, stand up to this now. We need to be together. And this is the extraordinary, it's a turning point in history. There's never been a fascist regime consolidated in the most powerful military country in the history of humanity. This is on a scale, the danger is on a scale beyond anything that we've seen in history. And we have a responsibility. That's why we say, in the name of humanity, we must refuse to accept a fascist America. We need to do this, stay in the streets, and not let this fascism consolidate.
Now's the time for Trump to go.
Violent.
Time for Trump to go.
This president is doing division. He is also erasing. Moving that stuff out of the museum. Where are we going to see it? Where are we going to learn about it? We're not going to, and that's what he's trying to do. You erase. He's definitely a racist. But the thing is, he's trying to erase us. He's trying to make us forget about our history. And we cannot do that. We cannot do that. If we don't know where we're come from, where do we go? Where do we go? We had powerful people do powerful things. And this monster is wiping it all away.
We believe it's important to stand up for our rights and let it be known that we're not behind a lot of the things that the administration are doing. So this is kind of a way for us to get our voices out in a very kind of safe, kind of open and public environment. So that's really what kind of brought us out here. We are really not a fan of what's happening in the United States. We don't like what's happening with the administration or the lack of due process with people who are being arrested and deported. I feel like one of the most important things that our nation is founded upon is our laws. If we don't abide by the rule of law, then what are we going to abide by?
I was a history buff for as long as I can remember. And the thought that we would never be in the situation that we're in is ignorant. We are in this situation. Everything you read about in your history textbooks can come back, does come back, and comes back with a different face. And you need to be able to recognize pattern recognition. So the big question for me is, I was raised with the whole, what would you do if you were in Germany in the 40s? You know, what you're doing now is what you do then. What you're doing now is what you would do then. And so while, I mean, I support this, I want to see them take back all the symbols. But there's so much work to do. There is so much work to do.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And it's also, you know, as you're saying, everybody thinks if they were in Germany in the 40s, they would just shoot Hitler. Yeah, they'd shoot Hitler, they'd find him as a baby, they'd get rid of him, and it would be fine. But as you said, whatever you're doing in this moment is what you would have been doing then. And if you're not here, you wouldn't have shot Hitler as a baby. You would not have been on the right side of that conflict.
Actions are actions. So it just goes back and forth and back and forth. And so marching out here, that's putting your actions where your mouth is.
Yeah, and you know, as people who are interested in history, I think it's also critical to note that the conditions that gave rise to Nazi Germany, they have a root in economics.
Oh yes.
And
yes.
What got us here,
the wage gap and everything. Oh my gosh, yeah. What is it that? How different are we from France? The bourgeoisie versus the common people. We now have a larger wage gap between them now.
Yes,
By how much? Is it double?
Double.
It is double. Yeah.
I don't remember the exact figures, but I know that we are
Stats. Yeah.
But there is a large disparity of wealth distribution in our society. That is definitely causing a lot of issues societal-wise. Different funding, different abilities to live. No one should go, and this is my own personal belief, no one should go into debt trying to stay healthy. No one should be trying to have a quality of life that is decent, at the bare minimum, decent, and not be able to afford it. We are a nation that is bountiful and plentiful. We are the premier power in the world, but yet we have homeless on our street. We have people who are struggling day to day to get their basic needs met. That is unacceptable, especially from the supposed first world power. It is disheartening to see that we are supposed to be that global dominant force, and we can barely take care of our own people.
I mean, yeah, how can we expect to be a world leader if we can't take care of our own? There are far too many people here. I saw something recently that they're trying to enforce no homeless people around here when these are gone. And I find that I took personal grievance with that, because I felt like if you are looking out from the White House and you see a vast homeless population in your capital and you can't do anything about it, or you can't be bothered to do anything about it, that is an inherent problem, and hiding it does nothing but make us more angry.
I think what really made the decision for me is the fact that when I was talking about going out to a protest this weekend, a lot of people told me that they were worried that there would be violence and that protests would be met with violence from police, from military. I'm a veteran myself. I don't believe in the use of the military for this type of thing. I don't think that these are good things to be doing. I think that if there is a time when you're scared to speak up, when you're scared to exercise your First Amendment rights, to just say what is on your mind, when you are scared of that, that is exactly the time that you need to speak up. You need to vocalize. You need to say, this isn't okay, that I am afraid to even say what's on my mind.
For sure, and we've spoken to a lot of people who are, military affiliated, is how someone put it. As a veteran yourself, how do you feel about Trump spending, upwards of $143 million on a military / birthday parade?
It's just absolutely ludicrous. It is crazy that we can say that this is okay, that anyone can be okay with it, that I mean, frankly, in my own opinion, it's not even right for the military members to participate in it. I think that they have a responsibility to say that this isn't what the military exists for. This isn't what we swore an oath to. We didn't swear an oath to the president. We swore an oath to the Constitution, and this man is constantly tearing it to shreds. It's exactly why I got out of the military. It's exactly why I don't serve anymore, is because it felt like everything that all the values that I had that made me proud of that are being torn apart, and they're being used for the most malicious things, and they're being used to attack people. And it's just frustrating. It's really frustrating to see the military used in that way.
I can imagine. I mean, I don't want to ask too personal of a question if you don't want to share this, but like, can I ask a little bit about your background in the military, and if you have any more to say on why you chose to leave?
Well, I worked directly for the White House during Trump's first presidency, and I got to see a lot of things close up of what was going on, and it just, I felt like it wasn't a safe time to be in the military. It wasn't a time that I felt like I was going to be actually carrying out the things that I had wanted to do. I wasn't going to be able to actually have the impact that I wanted to and that I thought I would from joining the military. So that was why I got out.